Hey guys, what's up? In this video, I'm going to cover a question from one of my subscribers who asked how to overcome lust and porn addiction. This is something I would say pretty much every young man deals with these days, especially because of the internet. It's something I've spent years working on and something I've learned many things about. And you might ask yourself, why do we have the feeling that we need to have sex? Well, it's simple, right? Biologically, because we are biological animals, we have a need or a feeling that we must reproduce. One of the biggest conditionings for humans in general is sex, romance, relationships. It's why a relationship can hurt so much. It's why you feel such a strong desire to have sex. It's simple. Because evolutionarily, we need to reproduce. We don't need to reproduce, but evolutionarily, to continue the species survival, there is a need to continue the offspring into the future.
So we all have sexual desire, but what is lust? I would say lust is sexual desire plus neediness. It's the need to, I have to get this. So let's talk about why it's been created. Well, you may desire something, right? You want it. But when our ego gets really attached to having it, when we think that we need it, and if we don't have it, there's something that is wrong with us, that we are a failure, that it's important to have, that is what creates attachment. And so lust really is attachment to that thing. You might have heard of lust for money or lust for whatever. It can be in any circumstance. It doesn't have to be sexual. And really, lust is that need. Oh, I need it. I need it, and if I don't have it, well, the don't have it part is coming from, if I don't have it, I am in some way a failure.
Guys, like my friend who I caught up with a few months ago, he was telling me this dude who went to our high school, he went to a brothel, to lose his virginity.
Yeah.
And his justification was so that I'm experienced when I'm actually doing it.
Right.
I think that's so stupid. Even I used to have that mindset when I was younger. Oh, I need to be experienced. No, I don't think there's any experience required at all.
So sexual lust and neediness for men is often tied to, if I don't reproduce, if I don't get laid, if I don't have sex, then in some way I am a failure. There's something wrong with me. Now, this is then reinforced in society. Society often reinforces this, but I don't want you guys to be a victim.
So I caught up with one of my old high school mates, a few months ago, and he was just telling me how our old friends, some of them literally do steroids. Some of them their whole life revolves around gym and how they look and social media and stuff. And ultimately it's fueled by the desire to have sex. They're so desperate that it's he was telling me how they go to when they go out, they'll spend 30 minutes trying to take a really cool photo, post it on their story, and they'll just be standing there waiting for a specific girl to look at it.
Actual.
You can see this in the media, we can see this in advertisements, cologne advertisements or clothing advertisements. It's why humans spend so much time and money trying to look good and appear attractive to the opposite sex, right?
Some men sort of make that their identity. Their confidence comes from the fact that they're really strong.
Sure.
And the only reason they can do that is because other men might not be as strong.
Yes.
Which is a very artificial confidence.
Right.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
It is nuts, and I feel like that desperation and that propelling force of, oh, I need to have sex, which is also caused by the brainwashing of our society.
Yeah, both for women and men, by the way.
Oh, no, I agree.
So for now that you understand it, now you can become mindful of it. Okay, this is the mechanism at play. We can now reprogram your mind to get out of neediness. And the only way to do that, the way I know to do that, is to let go of the attachment that you have. It's not saying you should suppress your desires. I'm not saying that. In fact, that might reinforce more shame or more patterns in the body that aren't so good. What I'm saying is that to overcome this, you need to let go of that neediness, that craving, that, ooh, if I don't have this, I am in some way a failure, I am in some way defective, bad, whatever might be in the brain subconsciously. So how does pornography monopolize this mechanism of neediness and lust? Well, it provides an outlet, doesn't it? What happens when you are in a negative state or bad mood, right? When you are in a lustful state, when you are in a needy state, oh, I need this, and let's say you don't get it. Pornography presents itself as this medium of, hey, I can fix your issue, right? I can resolve that neediness, which is only a temporary fix, by giving your body and giving your brain a shitload of sexual dopamine, hitting all those receptors, and now telling yourself, ooh, look, you succeeded. So now it creates this vicious cycle of every time you feel sexually aroused, and the mechanism in your brain often gets validation from that, right? You have the neediness factor, there's validation that you gain from women's approval, so you're approval seeking. Now pornography is going to harness that. It's going to hit it where it hurts the most, or affects you the most.
Videos are almost always monkeys which are in a confined space, not living in their natural habitat. And just like we aren't either, like, we have such an unnatural, overstimulating world, and we're like confined in our rooms, and we have this thing called the internet, where we have access to any kind of pleasure that we want to visually look at.
And so for so many men, especially because they're growing up, right? They're growing up as a teenager. And that is when you are, I would say, needy the most, right? You're most validation seeking for women. You want approval from girls. You want approval from your peers, your friends. And you are growing up sexually. And this is when the media, this is when pornography can really plant its roots into programming your mind sexually, and then you learning that and it reinforcing that pattern. So now sexual neediness is tied to sexuality. This is a big problem. So going back to your original question about lust, how do you overcome lust? Well, in my opinion, it's tied to neediness. And so for you need to look into that and look into your subconscious patterns, the things that may be manifesting behind the scenes, and start to unwind that and start to let go of the need to gain approval from women, the need of your ego that's built on this need, and you need to disentangle your ego from it. So it's a right to have desire, but the fact that our sense of self is so highly constructed based on sexuality, it's such a big conditioning. Well, that is something that needs to be looked at, examined, and worked on. And I think if you can work on that, that's going to really change it, because you might have heard all these lab experiments where they brought rats into places with cocaine, and they did cocaine, but then it was like a paradise, and the rats didn't want to do the cocaine anymore, right? There's some study on that. The idea is you have somebody in a bad situation and they are going to do the drugs. But if you bring them into a place that's more flourishing, where they're feeling good about themselves from other things, well, then the drugs aren't going to hit as hard. So you often hear about people in the NoFap community going into just self-improve, and they do all these things, and that can be great. It can be really helpful, but I don't think it's also the root cause. I think a lot of those people then relapse because they haven't looked at the root cause, the crux of what's creating it. But yes, at the start it can be really helpful to do lots of things to move yourself into feeling better. Doing exercise, things like that can obviously really improve. And so, given the right circumstances, your pornography addiction is going to start to wash away. It's not going to have as strong as a grip over you, because you will already just feel good and better about yourself. And you also won't feel like you need to partake. So there isn't going to be such a strong tie into it. Now, to add to this, if you follow the semen retention communities, you might know about Kundalini energy in the body, that energy rising up. If you followed yoga or meditation practice, you might have heard of this. And so keeping your energy in your body, your sexual energy, helps to revitalize your body. You aren't expending it. But what can also happen is the energy can go through different channels, and you might have blockages in different places. And so sometimes and what I've noticed, and what I've heard from the people I've talked to as well, is you can have times where your sexuality is really active and really maybe even overactive, but there can also be times where it completely shuts down, where you just completely lose desire for a while. Some people in the NoFap community call this the flatline phase. This can be really worrying for people, because they think, oh man, like I've lost it, right? I've lost that sexual desire. And this is just part of the journey, but I think acknowledging this is really important, because if you don't realize what can be experienced along the path, it can cause you to stress over things that may otherwise not be stressful. You will just recognize that, oh, this is a normal phase, this is a normal stage of rewiring my brain. So yeah, this is my first kind of NoFap video. So if you liked this video, let me know your thoughts below. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much.